LeBron James has played against 23 of the top 75 players that were announced in the 2021/22 season. That's nearly 1/3 of that list. I went through every single game that he played against those legends, and I was stunned by the results. Which players did he dominate? Which one dominated him the most? What was his overall record against all 23 players? This video will answer these questions, and we'll see how the King performed against the very best. Going in alphabetical order, the first player on that list is the legendary shooter, Ray Allen. In the regular season, LeBron went 10-13 against him. Here are the combined averages that they recorded against each other. This is something that you can come to expect from LeBron throughout this video. He posted strong all-around numbers. On the other hand, Ray Allen averaged over 50% from the three for their 23 meetings. In the playoffs, they faced each other 4 times. LeBron has a record of 13-12, giving him an overall record of 23-25. His efficiency took quite a hit, but that should be expected when playing against a strong defensive team like Boston. However, he had some iconic moments at Allen's expense. Most notably was his 45-point performance in Game 6 of the 2012 Conference Finals. That's widely considered his greatest playoff game. The next player is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's been dubbed the next LeBron James, but their head-to-head record shows that he still has a long way to go to catch the King. LeBron has a record of 17-6 against him. The numbers also show that James has mostly outplayed Giannis. However, it is fair to say that Giannis was nowhere near the player he was in his first 3 seasons, which impacted his overall numbers. But since then, he has posted 3 40-point games against LeBron. James only had 1 40-point game, but he also added a triple-double to go along with that. That was in their classic 2018 matchup. The next player is a scoring legend, Carmelo Anthony. They both were drafted in the same year, and they've had a lot of intense battles. Out of the 36 times they face each other, LeBron went 22-14 against him. As great of a scorer Melo is, LeBron hasn't beat in that category as well. He has posted 4 triple-doubles against Anthony. Carmelo has recorded 2 40-point games. That includes their classic 2010 matchup. That was when LeBron posted a 43-point triple-double, while Carmelo added a game winner to go along with his 40 points. They also faced each other twice in the playoffs. LeBron went 8-2 against him, giving him an overall record of 30-16. In the numbers department, he beat him out in every single category for their 10 playoff games. We move on to his greatest individual rival, Kobe Bryant. These two legends were constantly battling for the best player in the world title. Every time they faced each other, the sports world stopped. But this wasn't much of a close battle. LeBron went 16-6 against him. He also posted greater numbers in every single category. His best game against the Mamba came in 2008 when he scored 41 points on 50% shooting. That includes making the final 6 points in the last minute and a half of the game. Kobe's best game came in 2006 when he had 38 points on 46% shooting. We move on to his biggest playoff rival, Steph Curry. As of right now, Steph has all the bragging rights. LeBron has an 11-12 record against him. Curry hasn't beat in the team battle, but not in the individual battle. He has had some monster games that have contributed to that impressive stat line. That includes his performance in 2022 when he had 56 points on 61% shooting and 10 rebounds. Curry has scored over 40 points once against LeBron. That includes all of their playoff battles. Speaking of which, LeBron has gone 11-17 in the playoffs against Steph, which gives him an overall record of 22-29. But if we look at the numbers, we see how dominant LeBron was against the Warriors. He has scored over 40 points 7 times, which includes a 51-point performance. And we can't forget the most iconic defensive play that helped complete the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history. We move on to his star teammate, Anthony Davis. he has a record of 8-4 against AD. To my surprise, LeBron was much more dominant on the scoring end. He averaged 7.1 more points per game. There was even one time in 2014 when he posted 41 points on 71% shooting, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds. The next player is the greatest power forward in NBA history, Tim Duncan. Most of their battles were at the tail end of his prime, but he was always an impactful player. They faced each other 20 times, and they went 10-10. As expected, LeBron's numbers are much more eye-opening. Even against a tough defensive team like the Spurs, he's had some great performances. Nothing was more impressive than in 2006, when he had 44 points on 58% shooting. The tiebreaker will have to be settled in their playoff battles. LeBron went 5-11 against them, giving him an overall record of 15-21. In their 3 finals matchups, LeBron was much more contained by Duncan and the Spurs. This is one of the few times where his shooting efficiency is 45% or less. We move on to arguably the greatest scorer that he's ever faced, Kevin Durant. Although these are 2 of the greatest players of this generation, LeBron dominated his rival. He's currently 18-8 against him. This is one of the few times where a player has outscored him in their head-to-head battles. But LeBron's all-around excellence has proven to be more valuable. They both have scored over 40 points once against each other. LeBron scored 44 points against KD in 2009, while Kevin scored 40 points against the Heatles back in 2013. Then in the playoffs, LeBron has gone 5-9 against them. That gives him an overall record of 23-17. The numbers confirm that they have had some legendary battles. LeBron outscored Durant while nearly averaging a triple-double. He's just a different animal. The next player is another legendary power forward, Kevin Garnett. There is no love lost between these bitter rivals, and this one will be a close call. LeBron went 14-16 against him. Just like we mentioned for Tim Duncan, a lot of their battles came at the tail end of his career, but he still found ways to impact the game. In the playoffs, they faced each other an additional 30 times. That's 60 total games. LeBron went 17-13 against him, giving him an overall record of 31-29. Just as we mentioned for Ray Allen, LeBron had an incredible playoff performance in 2012. On top of that, he had a career game against him in 2014. He had 49 points on 67% shooting in their semifinals matchup. We transition to the greatest shooting guard of the 2010s, James Harden. They also have faced each other 30 times in the regular season. LeBron has a record of 16-14 against him. There were 5 times where Harden came off the bench during his time with OKC. That impacted his numbers quite a bit. Once he joined the Rockets, he recorded 5 triple-doubles. His most impressive one came in 2018 when he had 50 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. LeBron's best game was their very first matchup together. In 2009, he recorded 44 points on 55% shooting, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. They faced each other twice in the playoffs. LeBron has gone 8-2 against him, giving him an overall record of 24-16. There hasn't been that one classic game they've had in their postseason battles. Just consistent dominance by James. The next player is another legendary scoring shooting guard, Allen Iverson. In the last 2 videos of this series, we saw how fearless he was against Michael and Kobe. Can we say the same about the King? LeBron went 8-10 against him. Their numbers are very similar in points, assists, and steals. It was always a close individual battle when they faced each other. As far as notable performances, LeBron had 2 30-point triple-doubles when facing the Sixers or the Nuggets. In Allen's case, he recorded his career high in assists. In 2005, he had 16 assists to go along with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals. Speaking of assists, we move on to Jason Kidd. Out of their 25 regular season matchups, LeBron went 11-14 against him. Kidd was at the tail end of his prime by the time LeBron started playing, which affected his numbers, but his all-around excellence helped him win the team battle. They faced each other twice in the playoffs. They went 6-6 against each other. That gives LeBron an overall record of 17-20. The New Jersey Nets and Dallas Mavericks did a great job of containing LeBron in those two series. We move on to Kawhi Leonard. He has been lauded for defending James effectively. Is that what the numbers say? To start, LeBron has an 8-12 record against him. The numbers say he didn't have trouble producing, but he also wasn't dominant to his standards. But there were a few exceptions, like in their 2023 matchup when he had 46 points on 55% shooting, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. Kawhi returned the favor in 2017 when he had 41 points in their entertaining 2017 duel. They also faced each other twice in the finals. LeBron went 5-7 in their playoff matchups, which gives him an overall record of 13-19. Although Kawhi wasn't at his peak yet, he contributed in a major way for the Spurs. Meanwhile, LeBron's best playoff performance was in Game 7 of the 2013 Finals. His 37 points was the most he scored for those two finals. The next player is Damian Lillard. You knew it was going to be a back and forth battle every time they played against each other. It's no wonder the record is so close. LeBron went 12-8 against him. Since signing with the Lakers, he has scored over 40 points twice against Damian. I believe his most impressive performance was in 2021 when he had 43 points and 14 rebounds in just 29 minutes of play. But Dame Dollar has scored over 40 points 3 times against King James. Most notably was in 2020, the first game in LA after Kobe's death. He put on a show by recording 48 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. Later that year, they faced each other in the first round, 3-1. As we can see from the numbers, LeBron was just toying with the Blazers all series long. We move on to the 3-point shooting legend, Reggie Miller. An interesting fact is that this is the only player on this list where he faced someone who was drafted in the 80s. They only faced each other 7 times, and LeBron went 2-5 against him. To give an idea of the age difference, in their final matchup together in 2005, LeBron was 20 years old and Reggie was 39. But in that game, LeBron had 35 points and Reggie had 29 points. It makes you wonder how their matches would have been if they both were in their prime. We transition to the point guard legend, Steve Nash. LeBron went 10-8 against him. The numbers show that they both showcased their strengths when playing against each other. LeBron certainly took advantage of some of the defensive weaknesses that the Phoenix Suns had. That was especially the case in 2006. In their 2 meetings that season, he scored over 40 points. In the first game, he went for 46 points on 64% shooting, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. On the flip side, Nash gave his best Magic Johnson impression in the following season. In 2007, he had 21 assists, 4 points, and committed 1 turnover. They also won by 19 points. It was a classic Steve Nash performance. The next player is the greatest shooting big man, Dirk Nowitzki. They faced each other for 15 years and played 26 regular season games. LeBron went 16-10 against him. Here's how impressive LeBron's longevity is. There were 2 games where he scored over 40 points and shot exactly 16 of 23 from the field. The first time came in 2006 and the other in 2014. They faced each other once in the playoffs, and we all remember how that final series went. LeBron went 2-4 against him. The numbers show just how much more aggressive Dirk was in that series, even if it meant hurting his efficiency. He also faced the most dominant big man in league history, Shaquille O'Neal. LeBron went 6-11 against the Diesel. Shaq started his career 11 years before LeBron's debut, and the numbers clearly show that he was far from his prime in the majority of their matchups. He was able to squeeze one vintage performance in LeBron's rookie season. He had 37 points and 12 rebounds in that overtime thriller. But after that, LeBron always wanted to show up against a big fella. He had one 30-point triple-double and two 40-point games. We go from a dominant big man to one of the greatest point guards, Chris Paul. Out of the 32 regular season matchups, LeBron has a 15-17 record. Interestingly, he's only had one winning record against four of the greatest point guards mentioned in this video. Just like Curry, Kidd, and Nash, CP3 knows how to get the most of his team to win ball games. One prime example was in 2008 when he had 20 assists and only committed one turnover. LeBron's best performances came once he joined with the Lakers. That includes when he nearly had a 40-point triple-double in their latest battle in 2024. They also faced each other once in the 2021 playoffs. The Suns won that series 4-2. However, Chris was playing through an injury and was unable to have much of an impact. We move on to another iconic point guard, Gary Payton. LeBron has a 5-8 record against him. This legendary defender couldn't do much to stop LeBron with his advanced age. He took advantage by having three 40-point games against him. It was never a fair fight, but he was able to win his one vintage performance from the glove. In the same game where we mentioned that Shaq had 37 points in 2004, Gary had 30 points on 60% shooting. That was even his best game in his very short career as a Laker. The next player is Paul Pierce. This is the player that he's faced the most on this list. They faced each other a total of 69 times. Starting with the regular season, LeBron went 18-21 against him. The truth wins battle number 1, but the king takes the cake in the individual battle. More often than not, he was beating Pierce in every single category. One of the exceptions was their classic 2006 duel. That was when Paul scored a career-high 50 points, while LeBron had a 43-point triple-double. As far as the playoffs, LeBron has a 17-13 record against him, giving him an overall record of 35-34. To the delight of all LeBron fans, he just edges out one of his most hated rivals. Speaking of classic duels, we have to mention the iconic Game 7 performances that these legends had in 2008. LeBron recorded 45 points, while Pierce had 41 points. The next player is LeBron's greatest teammate, Dwyane Wade. Which one has bragging rights? It's LeBron by the slightest of margins. He went 16-15 against him. The numbers also reflect how close of a battle this was. Before they teamed up in the summer of 2010, they had a handful of monster games. Prior to that offseason, they each scored over 40 points 4 times. They were also able to give us some of the most legendary poster dunks. They always brought out the best from each other, whether they were on the same team or not. The last player is Russell Westbrook. This one is not as close as I thought it would be. LeBron has a record of 18-7 against him. As great of an all-around performer as Westbrook is, LeBron has him beat in nearly every single category. Just as we mentioned for James Harden, his best game against Brody was also the 44-point performance he had in 2009. But Russell also had some great games. He dropped 41 points on him while shooting 61% in 2020. Then in 2018, he had 23 points, 20 assists, and 9 rebounds. His record and numbers for the playoffs are the same as we mentioned for James Harden. That gives him an overall record of 26-9 against him. Those are the numbers that Russell averaged for those two series. So what was his overall record against all 23 players? It's 386-352. He had a winning record against the best of the best. Which player did he dominate the most? That would have to be Russell Westbrook. He had an overall record of 26-9 against him. Which player dominated him the most? That would be Steph Curry. He has an overall record of 22-29 against them. Which player did he average the most points against? It's Steve Nash. He averaged 29.8 points per game on 53% shooting. Which player averaged the most points against LeBron? That is Kevin Durant. He averaged 28.7 points per game on 49% shooting. Which player has LeBron performed the best against in the playoffs? We go back to Kevin Durant. For the 3 final series, he has averaged 31.9 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 9.1 assists per game. And which player has performed the best against LeBron in the playoffs? I would also give the nod to KD. He has averaged 31.7 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 4.9 assists per game. Well, that concludes this video. Were you surprised by some of the results? Why do you think LeBron either dominated or struggled against some of these players? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.